So hello and welcome to another video, and yes, you've probably guessed it, we're back at Swan. I just can't get enough of it here, and my time on here is fast running out because the conditions have changed dramatically since my last session. Incidentally, this morning was the first hard frost we've had, especially where I'm from anyway, up at Retford. It was -1 up there today, and everything was white over. So, you know, not a very good start. And then to make matters even more worse, I've just come off a 12-hour night shift, and then I got stuck in 3 traffic jams on the way down here. It was absolutely horrendous. There was a crash, there was police cars everywhere, you know, so what normally takes me 1 hour and 20 minutes to get here has taken me a good 2.5 hours to get here. So, you know, not a great start, but we're here. Everything's ready. I'm not fishing yet, I've just got a few more bits and bobs to do. The rigs are all tied up, the rods are ready to go. I've just got to have a look out there, see which spot I'm going to fish to. I will be looking for the deep silt areas, and I'll be trying to locate them bloodworm. So it's 2 weeks since I was last here, and I left on the Thursday, and then a couple of days after, on the Saturday, I got news that Dave had been out at 58 pound. That is a top weight, that the biggest weight I know of that he's ever been out at. What an absolute beast of a fish. And then it was only a few days later and the box common come out, and that was at a top weight as well at 54 pound. I must admit, at first I was like a little bit depressed that I'd heard that it'd come out, and then I seen the pictures on Facebook of the lad that had it, and oh my god, his smile and that fish, oh, you know, I can't take that away from him. Well done to you, my friend. What an absolute banger. So then I was kind of thinking to myself, do I move on? Shall I fish somewhere else? And then I'm thinking, well, there's only a couple of sessions left in it really before it really starts to drop off here. And because this last week it is fished really hard. There's only been 2 fish out this last week, that I know of anyway. Talking to everybody around the lake, and they're all saying the same thing. Everybody is blanking. So I have slightly changed my mix for this session. Obviously last time, you know, I was putting out 80% ground bait with, you know, 20% of particle in there, but on this occasion I'm going all out on ground bait, but I am going to put a few little additions in there. I'm going to put some 2mm pellets in there, and I'm still going to put a bit of the LM94 boiler crumb in there. Just so there's a few little bits and pieces, but it's, you know, I'm trying to locate them bloodworm beds, because the fish are already feeding there, and you know, and then just a nice pungent ground bait over the top. There's lots of food syrup in there. I'll knock the mix up in a minute, and I'll show you it step by step, and what's actually going into it. But at the end of it, it's not going to look like much, let me tell you. It'll probably just look like a bucket of dirt, to be honest, because I don't want it to be blatant. I want it just to sit in that silt, you know, and just give off a lot of attraction. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a busy lake this, there's always bait going out there, so I don't know what's out there already. But I think the key really is just to find them deep silty areas with the bloodworm. They're quite easy to find, they're not very hard to find, especially with a grappler lead. You know, normally 2 or 3 casts with one of them out there, you can usually locate them. So yes, I'm going to stop waffling on. I'm going to get my bait knocked up, and then I'm going to have a lead about out there, and then I'm going to get the rods out and hopefully manage to nick a couple of hours sleep, because the clocks went back at the weekend, you know, and them long nights are upon us now, and it's only going to get worse from here on in. And it's actually Halloween in a couple of days, so you know, it's a Halloween session, so you never know, we might be in for a bit of a treat yet. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So yes, wish me luck, and let's get going. So here we are. I'm just about to start knocking my mix up now, and first of all I'm going to go in with 2 kg of ground bait. Notice this is a real dark ground bait. I don't want it blatant, I really don't want it to stand out. I want it to drop onto that silt, you know, and sort of get lost in there, and the only thing that's coming off of this is the attractions from the syrup that I'm going to put in. So I'm going to bang all that in there. And then I'm just going to add a couple of handfuls of micro pellets. These are 2mm micro pellets. And obviously these are slow breakdown, these ones. So it's going to act as a vehicle to also carry that liquid down to the bottom. But it's going to put a few little bits and pieces there, and it's going to give off a few different food signals. So literally just a sprinkle, that's all I'm going to put in. And then I'm going to grind up some of the LM94, and I'm also going to add a whole bottle of the LM94 liquid. That might seem like it's a lot, and to be honest it is, but I want this to be a real sticky mixture. I don't want it to be fine like breadcrumbs or anything like that. I want clumps of it and that, so when I'm spodding it out it's going to drop to the bottom. It's not just going to break up as it hits the surface. So get all that in there. Then I'm just going to grind a few boilies up now. Not a lot, but in this bag here I've got some that are pre-glugged. These have been glugging for quite a while. These are shelf life boilies. And that is it, literally a couple of handfuls of that, a sprinkle of the pellets, 2 kg of ground bait, and a whole 500ml bottle of the food syrup. That's all I'm going to put in there. I'll mix this up and then I'll give you a bit of a close-up. So there you have it, look, that's the mix all finished. It does all go clumpy and that, and to be honest I want a few clumps in there, but to look at it, it just looks like a bucket of dirt. I really don't want any big food items out there. The fish are out there, they're preoccupied on them bloodworm areas, and the key to, you know, success at this time of year is obviously locating them bloodworm, and then I'm just going to bang some of this over the top, so it's just a bit of added attraction over where they're already feeding, and hopefully, you know, they'll come into contact with my hook bait sitting amongst it. Well, good evening. And the light is already starting to fade. It's just gone 5 o'clock now. And I say evening, you know, sparingly, because the rods have only been out there a couple of hours. So the fact that the clocks have gone back an hour has already made a huge difference. Yes, sunset is round about 5:30 now. And I'd imagine that it'd be rising again around 6 AM in the morning. So, you know, it really has made a big difference. Anyway, I had a little feel about out there, and to be honest, it took me a few casts this time to find the bloodworm, but I managed to find him at 22 wraps. That was the spot I went for in the end. But whilst I was putting my bait out there was a fish show short to the left of me, and I know a spot to the left of me at 5.5 wraps. I've had a couple of fish off of that spot before, last time I fished in here. So I have put one rod short and two rods long. So I've got one fishing at 5.5 and two at 22 wraps, which is 88 yards. That's where I found the bloodworm. So yeah, I have seen the odd fish show since I've been set up. I mean, to be honest, I've been sort of dozing for the last hour or so. So I am quite eager to get in my sleeping bag and have a bit of sleep because I am exhausted. But I just wanted to let you know where we're at. Still nothing has been caught today. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can make something happen. I think I've deployed the right tactics anyway. I suppose to everybody that's around me, it looks like I've put a lot of bait in, but I really haven't. I mean, you've seen what I've put out there. And I will add that I've put all of the bait out, which I mixed up. There's only 2 kgs of ground bait, so it's not a lot of food. But you know, increasing my chances by putting a lot of attraction over that bloodworm. The left hand rod, that's not over a bloodworm, that's literally where I seen that fish show. But I'm not sure if I've said, but you know, I've had a couple of fish from that spot before last time I fished in this swim. So everything is cross, and I know it's fishing tricky, but I do feel confident. It's always nice to see a couple of fish out there, despite what's been going on around the lake. So yes, I am dying to get in my sleeping bag, so I'm gonna cut it short, and hopefully we shall be having a catch up in the morning with something positive. So yes, wish me luck. Oh, did you see that? Oh, that's only about 5-6 wraps out. Oh, another one. I'm really glad I put that rod short now, I really am. Oh, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Well, at least I know I can go to bed now, feeling like everything's sitting pucker. So yes, I'm gonna get in my bag and get some sleep. Well, good morning. And it was very, very cold last night. It did drop down to about 3-4 degrees. And it showed this morning, lovely mist rolling off the lake. But on the fishing front, it's not been very good at all. I'm not 100%, but I think there was a fish out on the opposite side of the lake last night. I seen a bit of commotion around about 9 o'clock. A few head torches and that, so I can only assume that was a fish. But other than that, it is very, very quiet. I see a couple of fish show out there last night though. One even showed over where I'm fishing. So they're about, it's really, really tricky at the moment. This last week, I don't know what's happening out there, but the fish are just not willing to feed at the moment. Or if they are feeding, it's obviously just on them naturals. And like I say, you know, it's a busy lake this, and there's a lot of bait going in, and the fish are in a funny mood. You know, the odds are stacked against you when it's like this. And today the conditions are not good. We've got a high pressure today. When that mist cleared this morning, it was a blue sky, you know. Just, you know, it says fish zigs, but you're not seeing the fish neither, you know, there's just nothing to go on. So I'm just been sitting here really watching the water, looking for any sort of crumb that I can get on. You know, it's changed this morning as well. The guys opposite me have left. There's actually, you know, 3 decent swims over there, which, you know, one of them is an area which I wouldn't have minded fishing, but that is literally opposite me. And I don't think it's worth me moving round there, because I'm still fishing to the back of that spot anyway, so to speak, because I've gone quite long. I've gone 22 wraps. Well, I say long, it's not very long. It's a very comfortable zone for me, that. But, you know, it's long for this area of the lake. So yes, we are up against it. And I'm really pleased at the fact that, you know, I've just gone in with that ground bait method. I think that's the way forward, just trying to nick a bite. I mean, you know, solid bags are good when it's like this as well, trying to nick a bite, or even fishing zigs, you know, working them depths. But I just feel like what I'm doing is the right thing to do. I mean, obviously it nicked me a bite on that last session. I've gone in with the same rigs, I forgot to mention that. I've gone in on them stiff Ronnie rigs, whittled down pop up with the fake maggot tipper. You know, just trying to imitate, you know, a bit of red, trying to imitate a bit of bloodworm. I mean, the only other thing I could do really is put some bloodworm into that ground bait mix. But, you know, I know other people are doing that. And I just want to try and be a little bit different. You know, a lot of people would fish a solid bag or a single, or they'd be putting the usual bait mix out there and fishing all 3 tight to a spot. So, you know, I think what I'm doing is slightly different to other people. There's other people, you know, using bait belt and dropping and fishing worms and that as well. So there's a whole manner of things going on out there. And I think what I'm doing, you know, is different. And in my mind, I feel like I'm fishing right. I feel confident, even though nothing's happened. I still feel confident. It's just, you know, the odds are stacked against you. But I think we're coming into a good window this evening. I mean, now it's the worst time now. We're late morning now. We're getting on for dinner time. Bite time's well and truly gone. But I sort of think at this time of year, you know, as it's getting dark up until around 9 o'clock is a really good window. And after what I seen last night, you know, I think that's our best chance of a bite. Failing that, you know, sort of before first light's a good time. But we're in the zone, I'm still feeling it. I'm not going to do much, I'm just going to leave them rods out there. I'm going to bring them in a bit. I'm going to put a couple of spoms out just to freshen the area up. You know, put a bit of fresh scent out there. But I'm not going to go excesses. I'm just going to put 3 or 4 spoms out there and then re-put the rods back out there. a fresh pop-up, a fresh whittled down pop-up with a fake maggot on top, and go from there. There's not much you can do when it's not happening. There really isn't. And especially now when you feel like you're sitting in darkness all the time. But I was ready for that sleep last night. Real eerie night though. I was up and down, every couple of hours I was up for a pee. Adjusting to these cold temperatures again. So yes, that's my plan of attack. Put a few fresh bombs out there and redo the rods later. And just sit here and wait for something to happen. I know the fish are out there, see the odd fish show last night. I know I'm in the right area. We just got to wait for one of them to slip up really. And like I said, with the amount of bait that's going in and they're in a funny mood, the odds are stacked against you. And it's just scratching for that one bite. I knew it was going to be like that though. It's that time of year and the fish are not having it. They've been hammered, The fish are always hammered in here. That's one thing that we can always establish. The fish are hammered. I don't mean as in hammered as in they get caught all the time. I mean hammered as in they see the same pressure day in, day out. So that's the thing that you're going up against. And when the fish aren't really having it, it makes it even harder as well. And that's the situation I'm faced with at the moment, which is the reasons why I've changed what I'm doing. You've got to make them changes if you want to still catch the fish. A lot of people fish the same and expect the same results, and it just doesn't happen. If you fish the same, you catch the same. Or if you fish the same, you get the same results. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's where I'm at the minute. I've made the changes for what's out in front of me, for what I'm seeing, for what I know is going on. And hopefully we can just nick that one bite. One bite, I'll be happy. Got another 24 hours left. And fingers crossed, it might do me a favour them pegs being empty on the far side there. Bit of less pressure. And I haven't got to make as much disturbance tonight. I'm just freshening the spots up, so that's a bonus. So yeah, I'm going to sign off for now and have a little bit of a catch up later on. Well, we're coming into the last evening now, and it's only 4:45, believe it or not, and it's already nearly dark. Probably got about 20 minutes or so left of light. And today has just flown by. It doesn't seem 5 minutes ago since I got up. You can really tell these short days have kicked in now. All the pathways are just littered in all the leaves. And winter is soon upon us. Although the temperature doesn't seem too bad today, it's felt quite mild today, and even by this time yesterday it was quite cold, and it still feels rather mild, so that's a bonus. But all the rods are sorted. I did put out about 6 spoms out there on the main spot. I've got 2 rods fishing on that spot, and then I put 3 spoms out on my close-in spot, the one that's fishing at 5.5 wraps. And then just, fresh pop-ups on and replace the rigs back out there. And I was right, the guy on the opposite side did have a fish last night, a 49 pounder, so I can only assume that's the two-tone, what Bart had a couple of weeks ago. Crazy to think that fish, it had not been out for quite a few months, and then it's been out 5 times now within the last 8 weeks or so that I've counted. Absolutely bonkers, that. But other than that, it's completely dire. There has been a guy that's moved in opposite me, so there is still a bit of pressure over there. But yes, not seen a great deal. I did see one show earlier, about an hour ago, to the right of me, off of the causeway bank. That looked a good fish. It actually showed a couple of times in a row, that. But no bubblers or anything. But I'm hoping to start seeing a couple, in the next hour or so. That first, what they call witching hour, that's normally when you start to see them. And it's still blowing a northerly wind, so we're just on the back of the wind here. I feel like I've done my best, I really do. Just got to keep our fingers crossed that one pays us a visit tonight. I didn't even get any liners last night, but I did see the odd fish out there, so the fish could be spread about, or the majority of the fish are just not in front of me, who knows. But as long as you see something out there, it gives you that confidence, doesn't it? And like I say, I've not gone mad with the bait from the get-go. You've seen the mix, just a ground bait. And really all I put them out tonight for was just for a bit of fresh scent out there, just to freshen the spot up. Well, I'm rather hungry. I think it's tea time. I'm going to treat myself tonight. I've got a bit of homemade chilli which I made at home. I'm going to have some Mexican rice, bit of homemade chilli, and I've got some roast chicken left over from Sunday dinner. I'm going to put that in it as well. So we're going to eat well tonight. And hopefully not get a good kip. I'd like to be awoken with a fish, I really would. But time will tell. Time will tell. So yes, I'm going to sign off, and hopefully I shall see you in the morning with a big fat grin on my face. But if not, you'll see me regardless. Nonetheless, we'll still be happy, 'cause we're fishing. So good morning, and there's not long left now until we have to pack up. But I did have a couple of occurrences last night. I mean, to be honest, when I went to bed, I hadn't seen much, there wasn't much showing, and there wasn't really anything to go on. But then come, say, sort of 10:30 time, I seen the odd fish show. Not in my water, but it was enough to get the confidence up. And then come midnight, one showed short, literally right over where I was fishing, and I had a couple of liners within the space of like half an hour, so I was really sat there thinking, God, it could possibly happen. But it didn't materialise, and that was to be the only occurrence that I did have. And given what I've seen, especially the couple of days that I've been here, and from the last session that I was here as well, this place really has started to dwindle off now. It is scratching for a bite, and the thing that's really making it hard at the moment is it's still really busy, and everybody's come and just putting loads and loads of bait out, and the odds are stacked against you now. And and when the odds are really stacked against you and you're trying to scratch a bite out, it's really, really hard going. And for that reason, it's sort of made my mind up as to what I'm going to do over the next few months. I'm going to call it a day on here. I believe it's time to move on now. Them fish, are definitely shutting up shop. And the bloodworm as well. I mean, this is kind of what I had hoped. I hoped that, they'd exhaust them bloodworm beds. And then there'd be a few chances of scratching a bite, but with the amount of bait, that's not materialised. So, it is definitely time for move on for me. But my next lake that I've got in plan, it's a very, very good lake. There's a good stock of 30s in there, and there's a couple of 40s, and it's got some winter form as well. So that is where I'm heading to next, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. But on the fishing front, yes, I've got a couple of venues planned for this winter. Obviously the one I'm going to next, one on here as well, but also, this has come about, this is not me wanting it to happen or anything like that, but I've been getting quite a lot of requests through my YouTube channel and Facebook and things like that of people wanting to do tutorials. Now, this is something which I had not thought about and never even give it a first thought at all whatsoever. But people kept asking, and in the end I've agreed to a couple, and I've got one coming up in February on Mallard on here, and I've also booked another one for Swan for the spring for next year, and there's another guy as well which is to confirm the date. And I just can't believe it. I'm gobsmacked in a way. I'm flattered that people think that highly of me. I really am. It's quite humbling. I'm just an average angler like anybody else. So there's a few promising things on the horizon for me, and for the lakes that I'm going to fish over the next few months. But it's been an enjoyable session this. I love coming here, and normally you have a blank and you feel a bit down in the dumps, but I really don't feel like that this session. I feel really, really positive. I think I fished well, I think I fished the right methods. I've seen what's been going on. The fish are still active, don't get me wrong, the fish are still showing themselves and that. They're behaving like you'd expect them to be, but you just really are up against it. So if you are planning on coming here, if I was going to carry on coming here, I think the one thing you need really is time, and I've not got time at my disposal. I can come fishing every 2 to 3 weeks for a 48-hour session. If you could come every week, I think there's definitely a chance of scratching a bite still. I'd be fishing singles or zigs or a solid bag, or the method which I've been applying, that'll work, just putting a scent trail out there and fishing your hook bait over it. So yeah, if I was going to carry on, that is what I'd be doing. So I suppose everybody can take something away from this, is the point I'm trying to get to. Don't come and pile it in, it's not the one, definitely not at the moment. you know, learn from other people. I mean, I've sat here and watched it, and even some of the regulars that come here are coming and just putting out loads and loads of bait. It boggles me, it absolutely boggles me, it really does. I mean, there's a lot of phrases what people like to use on videos that seem trendy to say and things like that, but there is one that stands out to me, which, you know, always makes me giggle when people say it, because it is true. And that's, you know, if you do the same, expect the same results. You know, you've got to make them changes, you really have. You've got to make them changes to make it happen. So I've got about an hour left of this session. I know for a fact nothing's going to happen. This morning nothing's shown and that, so I'm going to start wrapping up now. I want to be away for dinner time. But if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, it'd mean a lot to me. And until next time, I shall see you very soon.